I'm your host, Sly Jones. Got my co-host, the great Marcus the Artist, always Sometime Rob Brown, and JD. Welcome to another edition of Natalie Alright, today's episode, we're going to be debating the top 5 Eddie Murphy movies of all time. And this is a kind of a interesting conversation. You know, we all kind of grew up in the same era, and Eddie Murphy, he was, from the 80s and 90s, he was putting out hit movies, back to back to back, so be interesting to see what's on all our lists. I'm gonna kick it off, and at number 5, which it was tough, I was moving it around a lot, but I'm gonna go with The Nutty Professor. This was maybe, if I'm not mistaken, his second movie where he played a bunch of characters. Like I don't think he did it again after Coming to America.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So, it was interesting, seeing him put on the heavy suit and had me cracking up. I mean, that was the one with Jada Pinkett. Had a bunch of classic scenes. You had the little Hercules scene at the table, and yeah, so number 5, I got The Nutty Professor. I'm gonna pass it over here to Marcus the Artist, and he's gonna give us his number 5.
Okay, I'm a little bit, older than the other guys and most of the guys at the table, but we almost same era. Number 5, I had to pick, and before I was kind of debating, like I told him before, because I was trying to debate between what I would consider to be his best 5 movies, or what would be like my favorite 5 Eddie Murphy movies, or what I would consider to be his best. So at number 5, I picked 48 Hours. And this was, if I'm not mistaken, it was his first movie that he did with, he was a co-star in there with Nick Nolte.
Big blockbuster.
Yeah. It was his first blockbuster, first popular movie. He had like a lot of little funny scenes. One of the things I like about it is that it's a comedy, but it's also like a drama, and it has some action and some, and everything. It's crime action, a lot of drama. And then, so sometimes you have a comedy that has a little bit of a mixture of some comedy and a little action, a little drama. Sometimes that makes it a little more funnier. I don't know why, but it does. Like if it's something that's straight comedy from beginning to end, that's also good. But I consider the fact that, like I try to, consider a lot of other things too. And to me, it was kind of easy to put it in my top 5. I just didn't know exactly where to put it in. It ended up at number 5. So for me, it was, of course, it was 48 Hours.
I can respect that. Sometimes you rolling at number 5.
I heard some noise. My number 5, I'm going with Trading Places or whatever. It's a movie with him and Dan Aykroyd or whatever. When More Than Me, I forgot the other guy. They made the bet where they made
Randolph,
yeah, where they made Ralph Mortimer, yeah, and they made Eddie Murphy, of course, he was the poor man or whatever. He made him rich, and then framed Dan Aykroyd for something he didn't do to make him the poor man. I just like the dichotomy of how they switched it or whatever and stuff, like, far as like social economical, even though it was a comedy, but it had the deeper meaning and stuff. And of course, they were shocked when Eddie Murphy was able to hold his own. And then, of course, when him and Dan Aykroyd, found out what was going on, they teamed up, like that scene on the train when they be wearing them different costumes, they had me dying. And Jamie Lee Curtis was up in there too as well. Then when prostitute. Remember when Eddie Murphy, the J was like, but that's
like I can walk.
Yeah. So he was playing the blind cripple.
Bro, yeah. So
he used to be in Vietnam.
Yeah, so that's why I like Trading Places for my number 5.
All right, I respect that too. All right, JD, what you got at number 5?
All right, well, my number 5, I kind of had, I kind of went back and forth on it because as far as like structure-wise, movies, better story plots, it might be some better ones, but the comedy was just too great, so I had to go with Harlem Nights at number 5. I think it's probably just the funniest movie I've ever seen in my life. So it got the best comics ever, best comedians. Richard Pryor, Ray Fox. I can keep going, but
Della Reese,
Arsenio Hall.
I forgot was up in there.
So I had to go with Harlem Nights at number 5.
We're gonna talk about that a little later. I got some bones to pick there.
Yeah, I do too. Like, you must got some ridiculous stuff going on over there. I can't wait. That's number 5. Wow.
All right, so
You got
So I'm confused. Like, are y'all upset because it's on the list, or
No,
y'all
no,
upset because it's too
no,
low?
So I was about to ask, like, wait a
that's
minute.
why I said we're gonna discuss it
Okay,
later because
okay.
I don't wanna give no spoilers
Now,
out here. You know?
I know I'm sick, but is you sick?
Okay.
All right, so moving on. Number 4. This was like right in the this movie came out like right in the era of me becoming a teenager. So it's one of my favorites. It would have been a lot higher if I was just listing my favorite movies. And that's Boomerang.
Oh God.
Boomerang classic. It's another one kind of like Harlem Nights that had a bunch of classic, comedians and actors in it. I think Chris Rock was in it. Martin, David Allen Greer. Tisha Campbell, Robin Gibbs. It's just, it was an all-star Holly Berry, all-star cast. And they just did a superb job to me of putting that movie together.
I thought Tisha Campbell was real good in the movie.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite lines, when Eddie Murphy, when she asked him, "Do you want to come over for a cup of coffee?"
Not even this guy was cool.
That my boy.
You get over the ledge.
John Witherspoon.
Oh yeah, John Witherspoon's in the movie too.
So
Number 4, I got Boomerang.
I got a bone to pick with you about that folk too, but let my man go.
Okay, number 4, another classic for Eddie Murphy. During the time when he first started out, my number 4 is Trading Places. Of course, this is number 4 also. It was him and Dan Aykroyd, pretty much at their best. Of course, you had Randolph and Mortimer, the two brothers. Those 2 actors, those were Don Ameche and Ralph Bellamy. If you remember that. And of course, Jamie Lee Curtis, we pretty much named off everybody. Even John Belushi's brother, had a little small part playing, the gorilla at the end, which was also hilarious to see. But it's one of my 2 that's in my list that John Landis actually directed. So that kind of gives you an idea, maybe give you an idea what the next one is. But he did a few with Eddie Murphy, so you still don't know. The other one's gonna be on my list, but Trading Places was real easy for me. I knew it was gonna be in my top 5. Again, just didn't know where. Same thing with 48 Hours, but I felt like I couldn't do it without putting it in there and finding a place for it because it's a classic. It's one of his funniest movies. It's a holiday movie. You can consider it that because it was based right around the holiday season, Christmas time. So they show it a lot during Christmas time also. But again, also a big money maker for him, and he was starting to get that reputation of as Mr. Box Office, with that one. So so Trading Places is my number 4.
All right.
I just thought about something too when you just brought up Trading Places again. Remember in Coming to America when he gave that money away, and that was the same 2 dudes again.
With cameo.
Like Mortimer, we're back.
So it kind of made them kind of connected to it. So in the same, in the same dimension, I guess you want to call it.
Yeah. So my number 4 movie. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm gonna give him his credit. I had another Professor, but I switched it because me and him saw, so he corrupted me. So I'm moving with life with number 4, of course. All-star cast with Eddie Martin, late great Bernie Mac. What's the dude name? What's the dude name? The gay guy.
I always forget his real name.
Didn't he play Pretty Ricky?
Yeah, he was a fool. The guy who wanted the cornbread.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember everybody who was in there, but
the guy from Jason's Lyric. Can't Get Right. Play.
So
Bokeem
they had all-star cast, and of course we know it was based where they were wrongfully convicted of murder. The guy planning on them, and they were trying to figure out ways. But more Eddie Murphy trying to figure out ways how to get out over the years, and him and Martin formed a friendship. It was kind of sad too because they was in all that time, and all these characters and stuff was passing away. Yeah. And then of course, it's predicted they were gonna be the last 2, but they did finally get away. At the end of the movie, I don't know how old they were. It was crazy, but they did. But it was well put together and stuff. And it was a pretty good idea. And then it kind of hit close home. I mean, sometimes like in real life, black men always convicted of stuff. You know, and I'm pretty sure back in the time area that they put in, it's harder to prove your innocence.
So I'm pretty sure some guys that was in prison that shouldn't have been in there. So
white only pass.
Yeah, so as far as that
You
goes,
know, kind of a side note too. Truth be told, the soundtrack was pretty nice too to that.
Yeah,
movie, that movie. So had the title track with Casey and JoJo.
Boomerang soundtrack was nice too.
Boomerang was Tony Braxton and all them was on there. You know, so all right, JD, you got it number 4. I don't even know if I want to ask, but
well, I think you do want to ask because I think we see eye for once in our life. Because number 4 was Boomerang on my list.
Right. Our eyes both messed up.
I don't think I can put it no better than you did. It's all-star cast, hilarious. You know, Martin burning his house down, frying chicken. You know.
I've been house. He said, and he smokes that aroma. So you know, the smoke in there, chicken.
I don't think I got to add no more than what you said. So number 4, Boomerang on my list.
All right. So I'm gonna piggyback a little bit off Sometime with my number 3. I went with Life. I think that's one of his more underrated movies of all time.
That's front, mister.
I think it was actually, you know, it wasn't, even though it was funny, it was actually a good movie with a story plot that's relatable, especially to black people, you know. So and imagine like we watching it, imagine like older people, they really can relate to it too. You know, we watch it, you know, we laugh at the comedy and stuff. We never really had to deal with the racism and stuff on that level, you know, but that movie I thought was like super underrated. I think at some point I thought about moving it up a little higher too, but I thought 3 was a good landing spot for me. So at number 3, I went with Life. So Marcus?
In my top 3 now, and my top 3 was easy. It was just a matter of who was going to be 3, 2, or 1. So maybe I'll have, you know, maybe my number 3, maybe a couple of other guys may have some of mine in my top 3 also, but in their top 3. But for right now, my number 3 is Harlem Nights. Harlem Nights was the second Eddie Murphy movie I actually saw in the theater. The first movie I saw in the theater of his was actually Beverly Hills Cop 2, which is also a good movie. But I remember, you know, it had a live crowd, and it was like laughter after laughter through the whole movie. Of course, that was an all-star cast. You had Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, Red Fox, Robin Harris, Della Reese, Danny Aiello. That actor, he was a good actor. Another one people don't talk a lot about, you know, they probably do now, but they probably didn't at the time. You know, Charlie Murphy was in the movie. He had a small role in it.
Leela Rashawn was in there too, right?
She was also
Sunshine.
Tommy from Martin.
Tommy.
And he sure was. Yep. He was in it. So it was a nice big ensemble cast.
Jasmine Guy.
I was about to say Jasmine Guy.
Yeah.
She was also in it too.
was in there too, right? The dude from Life.
The dude
we talking about Pretty Ricky?
Yeah.
He was in there. He was playing Arsenio Hall's brother.
He was talking about he shot the old boy in the back.
Right. Arsenio Hall was in it. Right. Yeah. He did. I'm sorry, Julian. I'm sorry. Hilarious movie. And not put in my top 3 for me personally wouldn't have made no sense. So I had to put it in there. So my number 3, of course, is Harlem Nights.
All right.
Well, we ain't got no surprise because my number 3 Harlem Nights too. I mean, basically everything he said. Like I said, I like the storyline too because it's back in Harlem. I guess during like the Harlem Renaissance time. You know, I like the way they portrayed. You know what I'm saying? Black people.
I like a period piece like that. Yeah.
Even though some illegal stuff going on, but they were trying to be legitimate businessmen or whatever. And of course, the white man didn't like that the black business was doing better, so they wanted their piece of the pie. Or whatnot, you know, just good how they laid it out. And of course, at the end, Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor outsmarted them or whatever. Then they had to relocate. But I like how they showing the essence of, like I said, how black businesses began in Harlem. Of course, with Eddie Murphy being from New York or whatever too, so it made sense. And basically everything he said, I mean, as usual, Eddie Murphy, they said the all-star cast, and then we forgot my boy, the boxer, the champ, the stud.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do now. And shout out to the other champ too, Sylvester. I'm talking about. Hopefully you see this or whatever. But we got Harlem Nights for number 3. So let me get it adjourned.
My number 3 is Axel Foley. Beverly Hills Cop. I think this is probably the first Eddie Murphy movie I've seen. Beverly Hills Cop. And when you see it now, you see how young he was. You know, he was coming to a foreign land, coming from Detroit. You know, he was just giving those cops all kinds of trouble. You know, trying to find out who murdered his friend. You know, and the banana in the tailpipe. You know.
Yeah, I had known too. Damon Wayans, the young Damon Wayans.
They got something to free.
Yeah, so I personally love Beverly. I love all three Beverly Hills Cop movies, but as far as the best one, Beverly Hills Cops, my number 3. So,
all right, guess I can respect that. So I'm gonna move on to number 2. And it's gonna sound repetitive, so I ain't gonna harp on it too much. But my number 2, which I was going back and forth between 2 and 1 here, but I'm going with Harlem Nights. If we were doing what I thought was his funniest movies, it would have been number 1. Like I died in that movie, like literally from beginning to end.
I still die if I look at it today.
Man, I thought Arsenio Hall was so much better in Harlem Nights to me than in Coming to America. Man, he just had me dying, man. Like the scene when he was shooting at Eddie Murphy and the dude kept pulling out the little
took his hat off.
Took his hat off. Don't shoot that little.
Like I saw it in the theater, so people were just busting up laughing at that scene.
Oh, man.
And we forgot to mention too. Shout out to Jasmine Guy. She was in there too. I think she was the love interest for a minute. You know.
Yeah, she tried to pop him off, but y'all smiled.
So yeah, I ain't gonna harp on it too long. My number 2 is Harlem Nights.
Okay, I was bounced between 2 and 1, but I figured I had to do this way. Like my number 2 could have easily been my number 1, but it didn't turn out that way. But I still had to give it recognition. It was going to be in the top 2 easily. My number 2 is Coming to America, and of course that's the second John Landis movie that's on my list, but the funniest one for me. And like I say, him playing those multiple characters between him and Arsenio Hall, the script, the storyline, all of that. You know, James Earl Jones. Nice big, all-star cast. Again, hilarious movie. Barbershop characters between them just playing the Keem and Simi is one thing, but then he played the preacher, he played Randy Watson, the singer, then he played the characters in the barbershop. A lot of multiple characters, a lot of makeup. I actually, now, a lot of people probably knew it maybe right away, but I remember when I first watched it, I had no idea that Eddie Murphy played the Jewish guy, the older guy in the barbershop.
The white guy,
I had no idea initially. Until they started showing everybody's name at the end, and I was like, that was Eddie. Yeah. And then, of course, now everybody knows it was him. But I mean, when I first saw it, when I was younger, I was kind of surprised.
Right. Has the right to change his name to whatever he wants to change it to.
Nobody knows.
Right. Yeah, he beat Joe Lewis's ass. Yeah. So I was surprised at that. So it just kind of showed for the first time to me just how versatile he could be also as an actor as well as a comedian. So
and probably cheap.
Yeah, exactly. yeah.
You ain't got to pay nobody if you playing.
Right, if you're playing all them characters, it kind of slows that down a little bit. It does. Put a little money in your pocket.
That's smart though.
Yeah, it keeps a little money in your pocket. So yeah, my number 2 is Coming to America.
Okay, a little shocking to me. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah,
I thought
it shocked me a little bit.
I thought we all had the same number 1, but
But that's good though.
Yeah, it is.
It's good. It's good. All right, my number 2, where it rightfully belong, is Boomerang.
Okay.
Well, I went through it. Chris Rock, John Witherspoon, he said with pussy, well, that was classic. And in the bathroom, he came out, what's in this? She came out, walked with him, then when the cotton, she said, it's another coordinator. That's classic.
Yeah. She underrated funny, though.
Yeah, that
lady, I can't think of her name.
She been in a lot of
Remember
stuff.
she climbed on Friday? She was Damon Mama.
Yeah.
Played on Martin a few times.
Yeah.
The first thing I ever saw on was an episode of Good Times where she played Sweet Daddy's girlfriend.
Oh,
JJ did the painting of her. It was ugly and she didn't like it.
Yeah.
That ain't even me. I ain't got them hard lines in my face.
Yeah. So hit like another good storyline again. Eddie Murphy was the playboy, was doing this thing. He had some bad was up there, Little Rashawn and
left because he ain't like her feet.
Yeah.
Hammertime.
Robin Gibbons, Holly Berry, and then Robin Gibbons flipped the script. You know what I'm saying? Well, like I said, that's relatable because some women like that or whatever stuff too. And then it came out in '92. You know what I'm saying? So it was a good glimpse because I probably at the time didn't know women. You know what I'm saying? Would be like that or whatever stuff. So that probably might have been my glimpse into that. Like I said, it was hilarious or whatever. Got a lot of classes. Like you talk about the piano. One of my other favorites too, when they be working out, and then remember when Martin was talking about that, he said, I would have first trying to karate.
At least my wife ain't leave me for no guardian angel.
Yeah, David Allen Greer was hilarious.
Yeah, he was a fool though.
And I should have mentioned this when I gave my boomerang, but the Grace Jones scene in the
Oh my God! Yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh yeah,
that was hilarious.
Yeah. Even Eartha Kitt. You know?
Yeah. And then my boy Nasty Nelson.
I always forget that actor's name too. He was a good actor too.
Yeah. So we didn't say enough about it. So your number 2, John.
My number 2, it was on all y'all lists, just not as high. My number 2 is Life. Like you say, it ain't. I think it's probably the best story, like as far as script wise, maybe the best movie he ever did. I thought Martin was great. Like you say, that it speaks to black people, the subject matter. You got that, then it was hilarious. Like one of my favorite scenes is when they got older and they moved in with the white guy, and Martin was getting along with him, and Eddie Murphy just couldn't stand it. And he was just eyeballing him, and Martin was like, "What you looking at, right?"
I was a little bit older, so they put him in the house and he had to work in the field. Yeah.
Like,
Oh, y'all boy.
just what the fuck is you looking at, right?
Get your ass to work.
Yeah. So Life.
You know what though? Another side note. The outtakes to that movie was hilarious.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
When he found a dead body and went over there and took the box. Like, that ain't my daddy Clyde.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I like the scene where they was in court and the judge said life. Eddie Murphy's like, "The hell you mean life? I'm going back to my cell. This is mistrial." Yeah. So Life number 2 on my list. So
When you get your number 1 sometime, I gotta go back to Boomerang. My other part I forgot. Remember when he was down because Robert Gibbs had left him, Holly Berry took him with the kids. And remember they was getting smart. She said that I'm gonna whoop somebody.
He's asking why the fish ain't in the
Yeah, right.
Because I don't want him to be.
Right.
And then with Grace Jones, remember when they was doing when they was in the meeting room, and then remember she thought Eddie Murphy said smart, she slapped him in the eye.
Yeah, but she was saying after bad. He thought she was saying bad. BIRTH. Don't make fun of me.
He's like,
Yeah.
all right. So my number 1, no surprise here. I'm sure it's number 1 on all but one list here. But it's Coming to America. Ain't nothing you can say that ain't already was said, when he gave his Coming to America. It's just a classic movie. Like I say, first time you seen somebody play so many different parts, and do it that well. I can't even get into, how funny I thought the movie was. And, John Amos at the time, I didn't even look at him as like a comedy type guy, and he had me laughing in there,
But you know what? Like, but I think his acting was underrated on Good Times. He played the hell out that father role.
But I kind of looked at him like as a serious guy because of that, And then,
he was funny on Good Times, but not like, I know what you're saying.
Funny, but
yeah, he was like cracking me up on it.
Yeah. Donnie, get it.
Me and the people in McDonald's got a little misunderstanding.
Home of the Big Mick.
And don't forget too, sometimes Samuel L. was in there too. I think first time
playing the robber, sure. Get the money out! Don't stop stalling! Come on!
Anybody
gonna laugh this cold out of you, boy.
Okay,
Yeah, so my number 1, and I'm assuming 2 other people's number 1 is Coming to America, but so the most curious number 1, I
don't know where this will go.
Coming to America was my number 2.
And I be golden child.
And it was it was hard to debate, but I put a lot of stuff into consideration with it. And I felt like if I was going to pick his top 5 best, again, my top 5 favorite list would have been a little different. But I felt like it was appropriate to put it at number 1. And my number 1 is Beverly Hills Cop.
I kind of figured that was going to be
First
it.
one.
Oh, you love it as much as I
Yeah.
do.
He was on the map, but by the time the movie came out, but this really took him over. It was a huge box office hit. The interesting footnote about it is that it was initially a vehicle for Sylvester Stallone. A lot of people don't know that. But something went wrong in the procedure, the production of the movie, and it ended up, being an Eddie Murphy movie.
So
And
Sylvester Stallone was supposed to ask
he was supposed to play that guy.
that
And it would have been a completely different movie, probably. I don't know if it would have been a comedy, but Eddie Murphy basically took the character, took it over, took it to a whole nother level. And now you look at it now, you can't imagine anybody else being Axel Foley.
It's kind of funny how them things kind of play out that way. Because Eddie Murphy was supposed to be in Rush Hour with Jackie Chan.
Right. I heard about that too.
He turned it down to do Holy Man. Why? I don't know.
Ain't that interesting?
Nobody 100%.
Yeah. Ain't that crazy? And of course, it spawned 2 sequels. It may have a 4th. They're still talking about it. It still keeps going off and on. We may see a 4th Beverly Hills Cop one day. We'll see.
That's
But
like this Thriller.
it keeps going right. It keeps going on and off. But again, one of my favorite Eddie Murphy characters. Funny movie from beginning to end. Of course, like I said before, with 48 Hours, you consider the fact there's some drama and some action into it too. The character he played, the detective, very smart detective, young, smart detective, the things he was able to do. And, the banter he had back and forth with Taggart and Rosewood, even Bogomil, and all the people that lived and resided in Beverly Hills, how he was able to play off them and everything. Just, overall, just a great movie. And I feel like I said, I almost would have put Coming to America as my number 1, but I put a lot of other stuff into consideration along with, the laughter. And I just thought, considering what everything you had to put down, it had to be my number 1. So, of course, again, my number 1 was Beverly Hills Cop.
And just to add to another thing I like about it, well, back then when I seen it, but now I like too that he picked Detroit, instead of using Chicago, LA, New York. I like that he, went with another, city.
Another thing that I think is underrated funny about the movie is his lieutenant in Detroit.
Oh man, you spent the time. Oh man.
Now, from what I heard, he was actually really a police officer. I believe so, from what they said. I always forget his real name. I'm having problems with everybody's name. Is Hades putting people in this whole discussion, but I believe I did read that right when I saw the making of the movie, and he just took that role over and he played an incredible character too in all 3 movies. So
Yeah.
All right, so I guess spoiler has already been out.
Surprise. The number 1 is Coming to America. I mean, well, we didn't win over it or whatever and stuff. So, classic movie or whatnot. I mean, like I said, it's a good premise. How he but it is like that for real. Like I said, I'm starting to see this, and while we talking about Eddie Murphy, a lot of this is like relatable stuff. Like in Africa, well, of course, that was made up, that place over there. But how they had them arranged marriages and stuff. I didn't know it back then because I was so young. But he took it for real, like arranged marriage. But that was cool how they let him come over and gave him his time or whatever to come to America, of course, to New York if you're gonna come or whatever and stuff. So
Queens,
Queen, yeah. So it was hilarious or whatever. So classic. What's my man? Cause you be knowing all the names. When he sexual chocolate.
Oh, you talking about Randy Watson?
That boy good. I'm running out there crying in the crowd. And then what was that when he was outside and the neighbor was like, "Well, he's like, fuck you." He didn't know what it meant. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Good morning, my name.
This should be freedom. A thing we have been denied for far too long. Good morning, my neighbors.
The country's so free, a man can throw trash in the street.
Yeah, so it's classic. James Earl Jones, like I said, John Amos did his thing. The lady who he ended up with, she was Vanessa Bell Calloway. That was her playing his African wife. So I mean, ain't really nothing else really to say about it or whatever.
I do want to say a little side on that. They've been talking about doing this the sequel to it or whatever. And I actually looked up the cast and like everybody's still alive other than the mother, the queen.
Right.
Alien.
Yeah, Alien. An alien. Yeah, she's the only one that's not alive. So they wanted to do it. They can bring back the whole cast. You know, and it's
for the most
crazy.
part,
It's rare that you see a movie that's almost 30 years old.
Yeah.
Or is it 30 years
And
old?
I mean,
It is 30
it's
years.
30. Just made 30
yeah.
last year. And I'm curious.
Came out in '88, right?
88 or 87. I think it was 88.
Yeah.
And I'm curious as to what they would do, because you would figure if they do it, could you really play those barbers again? Because at this point,
Yeah, they gotta be-
they have to be
yeah,
gone.
yeah,
You know, so they
yeah.
make it wonder what extra characters they would
They
play.
might do like some young barbers up there
Yeah,
that then took
right,
over, and he
right.
might not play them all. You know?
Right. So,
But like Martin said, when he had an umbilical cord, this is TV. So they might still be alive. Who knows?
All right, so JD, you want to go ahead and
It ain't no surprise. Coming to America is number one. I grew up watching this movie. I've probably seen this movie at least 250 times. So, you know, and I guess one of the things we haven't talked about, a few things, is another character I like, who's played by Eric LaSalle.
Oh, Jerry
Yeah, Jerry Curl.
Daryl.
Yeah, wearing pants must be a new experience, but
Where y'all bounce that ball?
he said, yeah, I would have helped you.
Yeah,
I was
but what's the white guy? Louis.
yeah, Louis Anderson.
Louis Anderson.
You want to sit down?
Uh,
I'm Dyson Lattice. A year or two, I'll make assistant manager.
That's when the big bucks come rolling.
Yeah.
The building manager was pretty funny too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, forgot about him.
Also a big actor. I can't
Don't be
always forget
pulling
his
that
name.
falling down the stairs
Yeah,
shit. You
yeah,
hear me? You
yeah.
conscious.
Damn shame what they did to that dog.
This room is really messed up.
Well, come
Got
on
one
in,
window
Jim.
facing the brick wall. You can rent it to a blind man.
Oh, man.
It's like, this stuff ain't hot. It's
Right. So y'all better not be wasting my time. Y'all got any money? You showing that money? You like, well, come on in, gentlemen.
So, Come to America number one. I can keep going on, so I'm gonna cut it off right there. And so, Come to America.
All right, so let's see some pretty good lists. Harlem Nights was too low on your list. So I'm just on
Boomerang was too long on y'all list.
Boomerang was what was Boomerang on your list?
No, it wasn't on mine.
Oh, so it wasn't even on his. So
Boomerang was 4, man.
yeah. No, I thought it was
Harlem Nights was 5.
Yeah, that was way too low. That means it was on the cusp of not being in there.
I think
my top
neither
5
one of
were all
y'all
in
had
the
Beverly
80s,
Hills
so-
Cop, right? Neither one of y'all had Beverly Hills Cop.
I had it at number
Yeah, he
one.
had Beverly Hills. Yeah, okay.
I thought about it. It probably would have been 6.
I probably can admit that I might have been a little biased too in mine. I probably, you know, when I was putting a list of the best movies, I probably was a lot biased in movies that more spoke to me
Yeah.
than, you know, because
Yeah. Kind of why Life made number 2 on my list, because I was older when that one came out, and I was able to enjoy it at the time. Other Eddie Murphy
and
movies.
fully understand
Yeah,
it.
I
You know,
enjoyed
like
it
sometimes
some
you
years
say
later.
you watch
yeah.
something later, you like, oh, that kind of had you know, actual meaning of what's
yeah,
going on in the world, you know. So
Yeah.
that's overall, you know, some pretty decent lists. Other than Harlem Nights being number 5 on your list, you know, we ain't gonna
Boomerang
go
being, what was it, 4?
4 on both of ours.
Y'all got so much to learn. He ain't even having it all.
Yeah.
If I could, I'd get you locked up for the rest of this weekend. Just when I have a Boomerang in your 5. But you said you had all 80 movies. That's interesting, though.
Right. Yeah, but like to me, I put a lot of stuff into consideration. I said, well, I have to pick a top 5. If I had to pick his 5 best, interesting that it was all in that same decade. But just to me, I felt it was hard for me to put anything above those 5. And then mixing them all up and putting like who's going to be 5, who's going to be 4, 3, 2, 1. It was kind of, you know, interesting. Like I said, Coming to America came close to being number 1 for me, but I put a lot of stuff in consideration. I felt that Beverly Hills Cop, you know,
And you were the only
had a
one
bigger impact.
sitting at the table that was a teenager when Coming to America came out. So
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
If you let me see here now. Wait a minute, because I was what 13. Yeah, I was 13.
yeah, I was
like 8 or 9.
I was 8.
Yeah.
So you know, I don't think you can fully you
Telling
can
my
like a
age
movie,
now,
but you
but-
can't really fully enjoy
Yeah.
a movie as an 8-year-old. As opposed to like I think Harlem Nights way funnier now than I thought it was
Back in the day.
when I was 7 or 8 years old, which I probably shouldn't even have been watching.
Yes, I was young too when I first saw it, but I thought it was hilarious then. But
And I went to the
a teenager
movies,
still.
so I'm like, well,
I was a
who's
teenager
watching
then.
this?
So, yeah.
What my parental guidance said, I got to see Harlem Nights at 7.
Well, I went with who else
talk
went
about
with
that
me? It was
offline.
Dubber and Mom went with me. So your grandmother and Dubber, they went with me. So Mom was with us. So she did supervise, but she was laughing too. So
All right, right, so we're gonna wrap it up. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Leave your comments in the comments section. Again, I want to thank my host, Great Marcus the Artist. Always Suntimey Rob Brown, JD. I'm your host, Sly Jones. We signing out. Peace.
Happy New Year to everybody too. Happy 2019.